So I've been thinking about something lately, and it's been on my mind for a few weeks. And it's a question that I think is pretty intriguing, and I'd like to know what you think about this as well. It's about scripts. So what's a script? I mean, a script could be a script of a play that you happen to be an actor in, or it could be the script of a computer program that drives things or runs things, right? So the question is, are we running on scripts, or are you running on a script? And where does that script come from? So it could be working in the background and you might not be aware of it. So it's running unconsciously, and it can be made up of your ideas or your beliefs or your programming or your conditioning from when you were young, and you've never stopped to think about it or question it, and you accept that as your values or your beliefs or even your personality, maybe to an extent. And how do these scripts come about? I mean, it could be a specific conversation that you had with someone. It could be what your parents might have told you, what you learned in school, in maybe even in textbooks, or formative conversations that might have happened. And so when I say this, I don't mean that necessarily all scripts are bad. It's just that all scripts need to be questioned. It's almost like you have an operating system that's running, right? And like with any operating system, to keep it healthy, it needs periodic updates. So the question is, are you actually running on a script that you've never questioned? Do you stop and think and take the time to actually introspect and say, my life has been so and so all this while. These are my beliefs about money, about relationships, about love, about business, about career, and all of these things. But where did these beliefs come from? Where did this thinking come from? And how is it governing my life? I think it's really also important to look at things very objectively and unemotionally and say, I might be attached to these ideas, I might be attached to this thinking, but why am I so attached? And does it serve me? Or is it working against me? So let's say someone told you at one point in time that you are not worthy of doing something, or you're not good enough to do something, and you accepted that somehow, right? Is that working against you today? Did that prevent you from taking chances? Did that prevent you from saying, I'm going to try and see if this works out? It could be something as silly as you believing in that because someone said it, and that happens to be the script that's running your life right now. So it's really important to pivot every once in a while and say, okay, that's the course that my life was taking. Do I need to stop and see whether a different course is required or a different kind of thinking is required? Socrates, who happens to be one of my favorite philosophers, once said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And I think what he meant by that was, have you stopped to think about your life? Are you just doing and doing and doing, and you're running on that script that's dictating all the doing in your life? Or are you stopping to question and think and do an OS update, as it were? That'd be ideal, but we have busy lives, and the pace of change is so rapid. But I think we can stop every once in a while. Maybe that's once a week, maybe that's once a month for a few hours, and say, where am I today compared to a month ago or a week ago? Am I going in the direction that I initially intended? Do I have a direction in the first place? Am I looking at how I can improve certain things in my life, or am I just going with the flow, as it were? One of my personal mantras is question everything, right? Question every single thing about your life. Like, why are you the way you are? Why do you have the values that you have? Do your beliefs serve you? Is the course that you're on the right course for you to go? Things like, what are your relationships like? What if you're a parent? What's your parenting style like? Have you just assumed that certain things work or they don't work without actually testing them? Have you taken the time to actually think deeply? Who are you really? Have you found out who you are? These are important questions. I know they sound a little philosophical, but they have a great purpose. You want to live deliberately, you want to live intentionally, you want to live consciously. So if you want to do that, you can't be running on a script, and especially if that script is someone else's and it's the programming that you've been subject to all your life, you can change that. I'm not saying that all conditioning is bad. it might be something that serves you. Like for instance, looking both sides while crossing the road. That's a good thing to always keep in mind. But there are some things that we've accepted blindly that we do not question, and they're wreaking havoc in our lives. It may be beliefs about relationships, beliefs about money, that you're not worthy of money, or beliefs about abundance, or the idea that there's only a finite amount of money or wealth or abundance in this world, and you were not lucky enough to have it. When you perpetuate this thinking, it just reinforces it. The only way to break that thought or that pattern is to interrupt it, right? With questions, with deep thinking, with introspection, with discussions with other people, and ask them what their beliefs are, ask them how they think about things, ask them whether they have a totally different perspective. If you're not willing to question what you think you know, you can't change that thinking, you can't change those beliefs. So just to summarize, I think the way that we need to look at this is a periodic update of your operating system and what runs you every day. And that's what you need to strive for, at least weekly or monthly. Sit back, take stock of things, and upgrade that script.